Hello everyone, welcome to the Golang Interview Questions Series 3. In this session, I will explain the questions highlighted on the screen. If you can see my screen, for each question, first I will explain the theory, then I will explain the same via program. Finally, the programs can be found in the GitHub link provided in the description. So when I say program, that means the program that I will show you here. Now let's start with the very first question that says, explain the break statement in Golang. So break statement in Golang is equivalent to what a break statement is in another language. That is the break statement terminates the loop when it is encountered. Now, the termination of the break statement for a loop depends upon where exactly the loop is, whether it's an outer loop or it's an inner loop or it's a single loop or a nested loop. Let me tell you the scenarios here. Now, if you'll see this function here, I have written the function in advance for you. That's a simple break statement where I have initialized a for loop. I'm saying I will start at 1 and I will go till 5. And if I value is 3, then it will break and it will print the value of I within the for loop till the time the for loop will start. So that means when I will be 1, it will print 1. When I will be 2, it will print 2. As soon as I become 3, the condition will satisfy and finally it will break the loop. And this will come out of the loop and say I came out of the loop via break. So only 1 and 2 will be printed. Let me show you via running the program here. Now here, if I say go run main.go, you see 1 and 2 are printed and it says I came out of the loop via break. Now there is one more scenario where we can see that we are using the break in a nested loop. So you see there is a for loop inside a for loop, that is a nested for loop. So I have started for loop starting with 1 and I will go till 3. And then inside the for, there is another for which has started with 1. It also goes till 3. And it inside the j, it is saying if I equal to 2, then break. So whenever I will, since this is the for loop where break is written, that means whenever I'll break the program, it will break this for loop and it will go to the upper for loop. So for example, whenever I'll say I equal to 2, then break, that simply means whatever the value of j will be there, it will break the loop, it will increment I with a value of 3 and it will start this loop again. That means when I am printing here the value of I and j, so the value of I with 2 will never be printed. So it will print like this. I equal to 1, J1, I2, J2, I3, J3. Now, if I become 2, now the J will also break and there will be nothing printed with I equal to 2. But I equal to 3, J equal to 1, I equal to 3, J equal to 2, and this will be printed. Now, this is the case with the nesting of the loops in break. The break within the nested loop, it will terminate the inner body of the loop or the inner for loop. So basically, break will only terminate the for loop where this break is being used. Now, let me show you via example. So let me comment this for you. Now, I have called this statement. Let me run the program for you. You see, I equal to 2 is not printed, and the reason for that is because we are breaking the inner loop whenever I equal to 2. Now let me close it down. Let's come to the next question that says explain the continue in Go. Now, the continue statement skips the current iteration of the loop. So the difference between break and continue is break will break the loop. It will come out of the loop. But skip will only continue will only skip the current iteration of the loop and it passes the control to the next iteration. Let me explain you what I'm trying to say here is. So this is a simple continue statement program that I have written. So here, similar to break, I have used the same program. Now, let me come here. I'll say I came out of the loop after continue. Now you see, if I equal to 3, I am saying continue. That means it will not break the loop, but with continue, it will go and proceed with a value of I equal to 4. That simply means that this println I will print 1, 2, 4, 5. It will not print 3 because with the 3 we are saying continue. Continue means go to my for loop back and pick the next iteration and do nothing with the iteration where I'm saying is as and continue. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let me comment the previous program, put the program for you. And here, if I will say go run main.go, you see 1, 2, 4, 5, and finally it came out of the program. So current, what continue will do, it will only skip the current iteration and pass on the control to the next iteration. It will not break the for loop, similar to how break is doing. Now, similar to break, we have different scenarios for continue as well. Now, continue with a nested loop. Now, what it will do is, you see, same program that I've shown you for break has been written for the continue as well. I and j are the two for loop. Here, I'm saying if j equal to 2, then continue, right? That simply means what will happen is whenever this fmt.println is printing the value of I and j, what it will do is it will not print the value of j as 2, else it will print everything. And why it will do it like this? Because we are saying j equal to 2, then continue. That means pass the iteration to the next value of j rather than printing this. Now let me run this program for you to show you what exactly I meant. You see, j equal to 2 is never printed. Why? Because we are using continue here. Now let's come to the next question. The next question says explain labels in Golang. Right? Now, label is used in break and continue statement. Label can be used in break and continue statement, but these are optional. But labels are used with the GOTO statement. Scope of the label is the function where it is declared always. Also, label cannot be used similar to GOTO statement in an anonymous function in Go. We cannot use label in an anonymous function because it's a self-executing function. So you understand what are labels? Label are required in the GOTO statement to specify to exactly where that GOTO statement will point to. Apart from GOTO statement, we can also use labels in break and continue, but there it is optional. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So I've written a program for label for you. Now here is the label. You see here I'm saying function is label. I'm saying fmt.println1, then I'm saying go to, and this is a label. So I'm saying I'm using label with go to. I'm saying, okay, go to, and this is the end label. This and this has to be exactly the same. So what this program will do is it will print 1. It will skip 2 because I have a go to statement. I'm passing the control directly from line 85 to 87, and I'm printing. So since I have IntelliSense enabled and I have Go toolsets and different extensions of Go installed in my IDE, so I'm getting the error or a warning right way. So it is saying, see, it says unreachable code. It's logical because I'm using a go to statement here and the control will jump from 85 to 87. So 86 will never execute. So these are the labels. Now let me run the program for you, and let me first call the program for you here. Inside the main, I will say labels. See, it has printed 1 and 3 and 2 is kept. So this is what about the labels in Go are. Well, let me not close it and open it. Rather, let me show you here. Now let's come to the another question that says explain GoTo in statement. So a GoTo statement in Go programming language provides an unconditional jump from GoTo to the label statement in the same function, same as I've explained for labels. So I have written one more question, or I have written one more program for you to explain the loop, to explain the GoTo statement to you. You see, this is, so here what I am saying is I have defined a variable a, then this is a label that I have defined. I'm saying there's a for loop that I have initialized if a is less than this. So basically this is the for loop with whose syntax is similar to a while loop, but still go use it as a for loop. I'm saying if A is equal to 15, then get A equal to A plus 1 and go to loop. That means go to the label with the name of loop and label loop as this value, and then it will start the A from here. Since the value of A is above the loop, so value of whatever the incremented value of A will get here from here will be coming here, and it will check the conditions and it will finally print the value of A. Now let me run the program for you. So this is how basically a GOTO can be used. One example is like this, GOTO and label, and a very simple example is like this. Let me run the program here. Let me comment it, and if I will say go run main.go, let me show you here. So see, it has printed the value. It says value of 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay. Now let's come to the next question in the series. Now the next question says, can you have switch case in the break statement in Go? Now this is a very tricky question. So can you have a switch case with break in Go? Yes, absolutely we can have. Let me show you how we can have. So I've written a very small program for you to demonstrate the same. You see, this is a function that I have written with switch with break. So I have written a for loop here that says for number, if a number starting with 1 and the number will go till 9 because it says less than number, then I'm printing the number is number. Then I've done a switch case which says if the number value is 1, for will start with 1, then it will print I am 1, same is for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there is a case that says if number is greater than 2, then print I am greater than 2 and break for loop. So if you remember with labels, I've told that we can use labels with for, and with break and continue, we can use labels, but that is optional. So this is one example where we have used the break with a label, and you see there is no GOTO statement specified here. So this is also a label. If I'll highlight over it, if you say it is saying label for loop. So I am saying whenever the number will become greater than 2, then break the loop and go to the for loop. That means go here. Now, what will be the output of this program? The output of this program is 8 and 9 will never be printed, and the default will never be printed, because how the case statement works is it runs one by one. So when the number value will become 1, it will run this. With 2, it this. With 3, it will become this. With 4, it will become this. With 5, it will become this. With 6, it will become 7. With 7, these all conditions will unsatisfied. Then it will come here and it will check, okay, number is greater than 2. It will come here and it will break the for loop. It will go here and then the number will again. So that simply means that this will never be printed. So this is how we can use the break with a switch statement in Go. Let me show you by running this program of what exactly I meant about the output of the program. Now let me open it. I'll do a CLS and I'll run the program. You see, it is saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and finally at the 7, it says I am greater than 2. So 8, 9, and default is never executed. So this is how you can use a break with a switch statement. Now let's come to the next question. Can we use default in Golang switch cases? The answer is absolutely yes. Now let me show you via our program. So in Golang switch statement, default is optional. I know about couple of other languages where default is must to have in the switch statement, else it's a syntax error. But in Golang, it's not the case. In Golang, you can either have default and you can either not have the default. Let me show you by an example here where I have written about the switch statement where I say variable a equal to 1. Now, if a is 1, it will say a value is 1. If you say a is 2, it will write a is 2. And by default, it will print none. Now, let me show you the switch statement. So here I have written the default statement. Now let me do one thing. Let me comment this default statement here and run the program for you. Now let me see. You see A is 1. Why it says A is 1? Because in the program I have declared the variable or initialized the variable with the value of 1. Now let me do one thing. Let me give the value of A is A equal to 10, and in any of the case this condition will not satisfy because the program is ending. Now what will happen in this case? Nothing will happen. The program will terminate. And if I will say default, then what will happen? Then the program will print the default, that is null. So you see, default is an optional in which case in Golang. It's not mandatory, it's up to your choice, but we should not do it because if none of the condition will satisfy, then the program will exit without us having an idea of what has happened. So we should either have a proper logging around it or we should use default. Now let's talk about the next question. What is fall through in Golang? Now, fall through, it's a very important and very interesting thing that I have gone through. So, fall through is used in switch statement in Go, and it allows the switch to execute the statement that is immediate next to the satisfying statement. Okay, so let me tell you what exactly I meant by that is. I have written a program for you that will depict the use of fall through. Now, here, this is essentially the same program that I have explained you previously. The only difference here is I am saying fall through. Now you see I have initialized the value of A as 1 here, and this condition will satisfy. Now, if I will not use fall through, what will happen is it will come to this case. It will say, okay, A is 1 and this program will exist, right? Let me show you by running this program here. Let me comment this program and let me run the program for you here. And let me bring program for you here. Here it is. Now it will say A is 1 because the value of A is 1, right? What if along with this, I want to print this condition as well, or I want to satisfy this condition as well? What I will do is I will say false true. So what Golang will do is whatever condition will satisfy, it will execute the next statement as well without checking or verifying the condition for the next state. You see now it will print A is 1, A is 2. Now what if I want to satisfy this as well along with it? So what it will print is, it will print it all. Now what if I don't want to print this and I just want to print, say, I have to give A as 2 because I want to print this and this. So this condition should satisfy. So I will say this as 2, and when I run this program it will say A is 2 and none. So this is all about the fall through in Go. This is a very interesting thing that I have found within Go. Very interesting. Now let's talk about the next question that says, what are Golang string literals? Now string literals are the variables storing the string constant, right? It's everywhere. Now Go provides two types of string literals. First is the raw string literal. Here the values are uninterrupted character sequence between backquotes. The other one is the interpreted string literal. So whatever we define within the double quotes are the interpreted string literals. So these are the character sequence enclosed in the double quotes. Now let me explain it. What exactly I meant by that is, so you see, this is one way how I can initialize a string. So this way, when I use the double quotes, it is called as an interpreted string literal type in Go string literal. And if I will initialize the variable y this, it is called as raw string literal. Now there is a difference between initializing the values like this. Like if I will press enter here, so my program will start giving an error. It says string literal not terminated. That means it wants the string to be terminated in the same line when we are using the interpreted string literal. But With the raw string literal, it's not the case. If I will do it like this, it will still allow the variable to be initialized with a value. Now let me run the program for you here. And let me show you the program. So it will print both the strings. Now, if I want to print the string like this, it will print this as well with no errors at all. It will print it both the strings, but I cannot have this same condition with the interpreted string as I was having it with the raw literal string. Now the program will give an error. It says unexpected literal this because it wants the string to be terminated within the same line, but this is not the case with this, as I've told you previously. Now let's go to the next question of the series. Now that says, what do you understand by the scope of the variables in Go? Now, the variable scope is defined as part of the program. Scope means the part where the variable can be accessed. Now, there are two types of scopes, or there are two scopes in Go. One is called local variable scope. The other one is called a global variable scope. Now, let me show you here is, say for example, I have declared inside this function, I have declared two variables A and B. Now, these variables A and B can be accessed only inside this function, because the scope of these variables are inside this function, inside these curly braces. So where the curly braces will end for the function, we cannot use this variable, or we do not know what these variables are. Say, for example, if I want to say A equal to mark, so see what Golang is saying. It is saying expected declaration found a syntax, because it's not recognizing that A is there. Why? Because it is in the local scope of this function. Now, what is the global scope? Global scope means these are declared outside the function or a block, and it can be accessible by the whole file. Say, for example, this is my file, this is my package, and there are multiple functions that I have written within my package, right? You can see all these are functions. Now there is a variable that I want to access in many of these functions, and the variable value will remain the same. So what I will do, rather than declaring the value again and again within each function, say for example, the variable name is global. I will say where global and say the value is of type int equal to 0. Now you see, if I want this variable to be accessed inside this function, I can see fmt.println, and I can use this and it is allowed. Even if I want to change the value of this global here, I can say global equal to 10 and it is allowed. It can be done, right? So this is all about local and the variable scope. So this global will be available across the package or across this file, but the local will be available only within the scope of the function where it is declared. So this is all about the questions or the series 3 questions in Golang. So in the more sessions, many more to come. Do like, subscribe, and comment if you really like my videos. And the GitHub link for the program that I have shown you here can be found in the description box. Thank you very much, guys.